welcome to the Galactic Mind Weather Report. So today I'm coming to you on the first day of the yellow star wavespell. So this is quite a special time because the yellow star wavespell, it marks the ending, the last 13-day wave that closes off the 260-day cycle of the Mayan Tzolk'in, which is what we're tracking in these weather reports. We're tracking our process through the 13th day of the red dragon that gives birth to the cycle, and it closes with the yellow star wavespell that's now finishing this cycle before we begin a new one in about 2 weeks' time. So this yellow star wavespell, its keywords are elegance, art, and beauty. Now you could be mistaken when you just look at these words alone and you see the beautiful symbol, it's a star, and you think of these as stars, they're quite exquisite, this concept of something so far away, and you look at it in the night sky, they're like diamonds in the sky, right? So the yellow star wavespell can often, or the yellow star archetype in general, can often give the impression of something quite fluffy, something quite arty, especially art, beauty, elegance. And from my experience, the yellow star archetype has a real scientific quality about it. And I'm not talking your traditional kind of perspective of science, but it's really art. It's speaking about our capacity to see art in everyday life, to see the beauty in our human experience that has led us to this point, which is why it comes at the end of the 260-day cycle. This 13-day period we're entering today is dedicated to the process of really reflecting on the last 260 days, the last 9 months that we have been bringing something of ourselves out into our reality. And it's about really looking at, the ups and the downs, the goods and the bads, the polarity of the experience, the suffering and the joys. And, right here, the light and the dark, the contrast that's on my face with these shadows as the setting sun strikes one side and the shadow is on the other. On one side I have this intricate pattern of the grass, trees, shadow playing out through the sun, and on the other is just darkness. Yet both of these together creates quite an exquisite image. And that's what this yellow star archetype is all about. It's about honing our capacity to witness the patterns that have played out in our lives and that are playing out still in our lives and that will continue to play out, to witness the patterns and to see that, these experiences that we have are not alone. When you have a hard moment in your experience, when you have a real challenge or a struggle that comes up in your day-to-day, I know for me personally, I've had a very hard month through the Christmas, New Year's and the Gregorian calendar, and it had nothing to do with the outside reality. I could blame it on so many things, but really I was going through an internal mutation. Now I could sit there and say, that was a shit month. I wish that month wasn't part of my life. I wish that I didn't have to experience it. But this yellow star energy that comes in, it helps encourage me to really sit and go, but how good is this experience right now because of it? How exquisite is it to be sitting here right now on these magical granite boulders, to feel this lightness in my heart, and to feel the sun, the setting sun shining on my face, to see these exquisite little shadows while I'm offering this report, and to feel the freedom that is inside me that comes from that intense month of suffering my internal journey has created. Because during these internal processes, during these moments of depression and lows and melancholy in our lives, where we feel like we are oppressed by the outside world, by our inside world, there's a school of thought that believes these moments, these depressions, these intense melancholic moments in our lives are created. I can hear my knees giggling in the pool right now. It's these moments of melancholy are a byproduct of genetic mutation. It's our body focusing the energy away from the outside world and going inwards like a butterfly in the cocoon, giving the energy to our DNA. You know, there's an incredible amount of DNA in our body that must transform. And as these synchronic codes come through to let us know it's time to step up into our butterfly, our body needs to kind of do the cocoon. It needs to kind of take a moment to just shut down everything else so it can focus on purging the old program, the old genetic program, and allow some space for a new genetic program to take reign. The imaginal cells in the cocoon of a melting caterpillar, you know, the imaginal cells, it's a real thing. The caterpillar is the old self that's transforming. It's not good or bad, it's just simply had its time. And it goes into its cocoon and it goes into that melancholy where it just starts kind of melting and its body starts, you know, breaking apart. And at that point, the imaginal cells that were waiting for the time release program to say it's time, these imaginal cells, they activate and they begin to multiply in that cocoon, in the goo of the caterpillar. And the caterpillar's old program resists the new. It resists these imaginal cells that are imagining a new way, and it says, no, get out, and it attacks them. It tries to destroy them. But the imaginal cells just continue to multiply, their light shining and catching, and eventually the imaginal cells, through pure determination and programming of its beautiful light that is bringing, takes reign and overwhelms the old paradigm, not through fighting it, but through simply being its full existence. And in turn, the old program of the caterpillar dies away, it falls away, and these imaginal cells begin to take hold. And then they begin to be the new genetic program of that caterpillar. And so it begins to change the material, which has now been broken down. Instead of being a solid 3D form, it's now this gooey mush. The imaginal cells can now take this old gooey mush of the caterpillar, which we could look at as such a bad, sticky, horrible, nasty thing to happen. But instead, these imaginal cells see this gooey, sticky mess of this caterpillar in the cocoon to be the playground for creativity itself. It sees it as absolute potential created through the destruction of the old. They're letting go and the falling apart into that depression. And in that process, it creates infinite potential that can now move because it's not locked into this old way. And in turn, those imaginal cells can begin to paint and create and come up with this new thing that it was always meant to be, a butterfly. And butterflies are famous for their exquisite nature, for their wings that are just, you know, some of the most brilliant colors in the world. And to me, that just really captures the spirit of the yellow star wavespell that we are entering right now. Because we've all been through some really hard stuff. Our planet is going through some really hard stuff. Our global society is going through the caterpillar's meltdown. But you are one of the imaginal cells in the new world. You are one of the lights that are here to be amongst this decay, to be amongst the breaking down of the old, not to fight it, to try and win, but to take what it destroys, the energy that it frees up, and instead begin to create new ways, to create new things, to create butterflies, and to shine as an example in the world. And so this yellow star wavespell is encouraging you, it is encouraging me and all of us around the planet to really look at the highs and the lows of our lives and see that it is that very contrast of the lows that make the highs so damn good. If we didn't have that contrast, and we were just in this bliss state permanently, would it truly be that great? You know? Is not this video more interesting, this image that you're watching, because of the shadows and the light playing out? Contrast is what creates beauty. And that's what duality is about. Duality creates this contrast. And it's about taking your consciousness, your witness state, to the center of duality, to the Trinity, the third point, the balance, so that you can simply witness without attachment to your own process as you go through the highs and the lows, the goods and the bads, the positives and the negatives. While your experience goes through these polarities, is to be able to be the artist that sits in the center and witnesses the experience and then reports on it, that then paints and creates the beauty so all others can enjoy it. So really take the time during this next 2 weeks to contemplate how those challenges of the last 9 months have helped to create who you are now. They have helped to push you, to grow you, to strengthen you, to open your heart, maybe to make you more vulnerable. How have these hard moments really been a blessing in some way? Maybe it's just purely that through those challenges, that those light moments just seem so much more exquisite. But it's about looking at your last 9 months and then create art from it. Create poetry. Create a painting in your mind. Turn it around from being this mundane, oh yeah, it's 9 months, and really change it and think, wow, for 9 months, my life experience has been like a paintbrush on a blank canvas that is life. And think about how you have been contributing towards the greater picture, towards the greater masterpiece that we are all working on right now. And see if you can see the beauty where it may have always seen more suffering. Because when you can see this, you'll begin to see that there's a pattern, that there is more meaning to these happenstances than you might think, that synchronicity has been vibrant in your life. And it will help you to close off this cycle. It will help you to give gratitude for how you have come to where you are now. And that is a key to moving forward out of this muddy water of transformation, of mutation. Because the next Wavespell will open up the next 260-day cycle, and that will be a time of birthing, where we'll begin to say, I see where this is going. And now we can birth a new cycle into the Gregorian 2018, where I dare say we're about to see our whole planet change in ways we could never have imagined. So let's let go of thinking we know how it needs to happen, and see if we can see beauty in the way it is happening. See if you can find meaning in the things that you are struggling and resisting. And more than anything, pick up your own paintbrush in your life. No matter what your art form, whether it is painting and music, or whether it's working on an engine, being a mechanic, whether it's your parenting, whether it's dancing or accounting, whatever your art form is, pick it up and put your heart into it. And you'll be surprised at how much you'll see your life reflected back to you through your art, whichever way you express it. So here's to all of the artists out there, the creative rebels, that are refusing to take the status quo as the cage, the box, for their power and their vibrancy and their creativity, and who refuse to lay down. Here's to all of you that are having the courage to feel your suffering, to feel the pain and yet do it anyway. To all of you that are having the courage to get back up when you've been knocked down. Because together we're doing this. You are not alone, no matter how much it seems that way sometimes. I know. We all go through it. And together, we're going to make this year one of the most incredible years this planet has ever seen. And I'll look forward to opening this new Wavespell with you. But for now, I'll leave it there, and I'll see you mid-Wavespell with the mid-Wavespell weather report. And until then, all my love, in Lakesh. See you soon.